The weights hit the floor 3 seconds before his confession shattered. Kyan didn't know anyone was listening. That was the whole point of 11:30 p.m. training sessions. Empty spaces, no witnesses, just him and the words he'd been swallowing for 6 months straight. Studio B smelled like rubber and sweat. City lights bled through the floor-to-ceiling windows, turning everything gold and shadow. His reflection stared back from the mirror wall, barefoot on the practice mat, heart hammering against his ribs like it wanted out. "I don't need you to fix me." His voice cracked on the second word. He tried again. "I don't need protection. The door clicked open. Not loud, just enough. The air changed first. Pressure built behind his skull, crawled down his spine, made his lungs forget how to pull oxygen. Alpha presence hit him like gravity doubling, and his body betrayed him before his brain caught up. Anxiety spiked sharp and medicinal. Heat flared under his skin. "Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is." Kyan turned. Rafe Calder stood in the doorway, gym bag hanging from one hand, the other frozen on the door handle. Bare arms, sweat-darkened compression shirt, hair still damp from whatever workout he'd finished hours ago. The kind of man whose silence carried more weight than most people's shouting. His eyes weren't angry, they were careful, like someone who just triggered a trap and was calculating every movement before the floor gave way. Neither of them moved. Kyan's mouth opened. Nothing came out. His scent betrayed everything. Panic, humiliation, want he wasn't supposed to admit out loud. Omegas like him learned early to keep their desires small and quiet, wrapped tight enough that no one could see the shape of them. Rafe's jaw tightened. He didn't look away, didn't step forward, didn't do anything except stand there, holding the door like he was still deciding whether to walk through it or disappear. "How long?" Kyan's voice died before the question finished. "Long enough," Rafe said. 2 words. That was all it took for Kyan's chest to collapse inward. This wasn't how confessions were supposed to happen. There was supposed to be planning, rehearsal, control over the when and where and how much he revealed. Not this caught mid-sentence, vulnerable and barefoot, with his alpha gym instructor watching him practice asking for something he didn't know he was allowed to want. Rafe set his bag down slowly, straightened. His gaze tracked across Kyan's face, down to his clenched fists, back up again. Reading him the way he always did during training sessions, assessing posture, breathing patterns, tension points. Except this time it felt different, like being seen instead of evaluated. "Who taught you?" Rafe asked, voice low and measured. To practice asking permission to feel something, the question hit harder than any punch Kyan had taken in the ring. His throat closed. His hands started shaking and he shoved them behind his back, pressing his spine against the mirror. Cold glass met overheated skin. The pressure grounded him just enough to force words past his teeth. "I don't," he stopped. "Tried again. Nobody taught me. You rehearse," Rafe said. Not a question, a statement. Kyan's stomach dropped. Rafe took 1 step forward. Just one. But it was enough to make Kyan's pulse spike, enough to flood the space between them with tension so thick it felt solid. "How many times have you practiced that?" Rafe's gaze never wavered. "Alone, in empty rooms, making sure the words came out right before anyone could hear them wrong." Kyan couldn't breathe, because Rafe wasn't mocking him, wasn't angry, wasn't even surprised. He was recognizing something. The city hummed beyond the windows. A siren wailed 6 blocks away. The ventilation system kicked on overhead, filling the silence with white noise that did nothing to soften the weight of Rafe's attention. "I didn't mean," Kyan started, but Rafe cut him off. "Don't apologize." Rafe's voice dropped lower. "Not for that." Kyan's chest tightened. His sense spiked again. Confusion layered over fear, layered over something he didn't have a name for. Something that felt too big for his body to contain. Rafe's hands curled into fists at his sides. Slow, deliberate, like he was restraining something that cost him effort to hold back. Then he turned, picked up his bag, walked toward the door. Kyan's heart stopped. "Wait!" Rafe paused, didn't look back. His shoulders were rigid, tension visible even through the compression fabric of his shirt. "I'm giving you space," Rafe said. "That's not rejection. That's respect." The door closed behind him with a soft click. Kyan stood alone in Studio B, surrounded by mirrors and city light, with his rehearsed confession still burning in his throat and Rafe Calder's question echoing in his skull. "Who taught you to practice asking permission to feel something?" He didn't know the answer, but something told him Rafe did. What would you do if someone overheard your most vulnerable moment? The handler's office always smelled like lavender and leather. Kyan sat in the chair across from Dr. Marcus Whitmore's desk, hands folded in his lap, posture perfect. 26 years old, and he still arranged his body like a child waiting for approval. Spine straight, ankles crossed, eyes forward but not challenging. "You've been distant lately," Marcus said, not looking up from his tablet. His voice carried that particular smoothness Kyan had learned to decode years ago, concern wrapped around control, care disguised as surveillance. "I've been training more," Kyan said. "True enough." Marcus glanced up. His smile was warm. Everyone said Dr. Whitmore had kind eyes. They weren't wrong. That was the problem. Training is good. Structure is important. Marcus set the tablet down, leaned back in his chair. "But I noticed you've changed your session times. Late nights now. Alone." Kyan's pulse ticked up. He kept his face neutral. "The gym's quieter then," he said. "Less crowded. Quieter." Marcus tilted his head, studying him. "Or emptier?" The question landed soft but precise, like a scalpel between ribs. Kyan had learned young that Marcus never accused. He suggested, guided, asked questions that made you explain yourself until the explanation became confession, became correction, became compliance. "I'm not avoiding people," Kyan said. "I didn't say you were." Marcus smiled again. "But you're an Omega, Kyan. Isolation isn't healthy for your designation. You need community, connection, guidance." There it was, guidance. The word Marcus used instead of control, instead of monitoring, instead of the careful architecture of rules and routines that had governed Kyan's life since he'd presented at 16 and Marcus had stepped in to help him adjust. No one ever questioned it. Marcus Whitmore was respected in the community. A registered Omega advocate, licensed therapist, mentor to dozens of young Omegas navigating their designation. He'd written papers on healthy Alpha-Omega dynamics, gave speeches at conferences, smiled warmly while teaching Omegas how to recognize manipulation, how to establish boundaries, how to protect themselves. And every single one of his clients learned to monitor their own behavior before he had to. "I appreciate your concern," Kyan said, keeping his voice level. "But I'm fine." Marcus watched him for 3 long seconds, then nodded. "Of course you are." He picked up his tablet again, swiped through something Kyan couldn't see. "I'm sure you'll let me know if anything changes. That's what our sessions are for." Kyan left the office 17 minutes later with his chest tight and his hands shaking. He didn't realize until he was outside that Marcus had never actually asked if Kyan wanted to change his training schedule. He'd just made it clear that he'd noticed, that he was watching. That deviation required explanation. That was how it always worked. No threats, no punishments, just the constant awareness that someone was paying attention, keeping track, building a map of your choices and waiting to see which ones needed correction. Kyan pulled out his phone. 3 missed messages from Marcus, sent during the session. Reminders about upcoming appointments. Suggestions for meal planning. Links to articles about Omega wellness. Care that felt like a cage. He deleted them without reading and headed toward the gym. Rafe was in the back office when Kyan arrived. Kyan didn't mean to walk past the training floor. Didn't mean to drift toward the hallway marked staff only. But his feet carried him there anyway, pulled by the same gravity that made him show up at 11:30 every night, hoping for, what? Answers? Validation? Proof that Rafe's question hadn't been pity? The office door was cracked open. Warm light spilled into the hallway. Kyan stopped 3 feet away, pulse hammering. Through the gap, he could see Rafe sitting at a desk, paperwork spread out in front of him. phone pressed to his ear. His voice was low, controlled, deadly calm. "I don't care what he thinks he's owed," Rafe said. "The contract's void. He violated terms. If he shows up here again, I'll handle it personally." Silence while the other person spoke. Rafe's jaw tightened. "No," he said. "Not a threat. A promise." He hung up, set the phone down carefully, like it might shatter if he wasn't gentle. Then his gaze flicked up and locked on Kyan through the doorway gap. Kyan froze. Rafe didn't move, didn't speak, just looked at him with that same careful intensity from 2 nights ago, like he was seeing something Kyan didn't know was visible. "You going to stand there?" Rafe asked quietly. "Or come in?" Kyan's throat went dry. He stepped inside. The office was small, functional. Desk, filing cabinet, single chair. The walls were bare except for a framed photo of a dog. German Shepherd, scarred muzzle, one ear torn. Rafe followed his gaze. "Rescued him 3 years ago," Rafe said. "Retired police K9. Someone abandoned him after he got injured on the job." Kyan stared at the photo. The dog's eyes were wary, alert, waiting for the next hit. "Where is he now?" Kyan asked. "Upstairs." Rafe leaned back in his chair. "Sleeps in my apartment. Won't let anyone else near him." Kyan's chest ached. "Does he trust you?" "Not yet." Rafe's gaze never left his face. "But he's learning." The air between them felt charged, heavy, like the moment before lightning strikes. "Why are you here, Kyan?" The question was direct. No pretense. No careful maneuvering. Kyan didn't know how to answer that. "I don't know," he said finally. Rafe stood. Kyan's body tensed instinctively, but Rafe didn't move closer. He stayed behind the desk, hands flat on the surface, leaning forward just enough to close the distance without crossing it. "You know why I didn't respond the other night?" Rafe asked. Kyan shook his head. "Because you weren't talking to me," Rafe said. "You were reciting something you'd memorized. Something safe. Something that wouldn't get you in trouble." Kyan's breath caught. "I don't need your rehearsed version," Rafe continued. "I need the real one, but you don't owe me that. You don't owe anyone that. Not until you're ready." Kyan stared at him. No one had ever said that to him before. Not Marcus. Not his family. Not the support groups or therapists or well-meaning friends who all had opinions about what Omegas needed, what they should want, how they should navigate the world. Rafe wasn't managing him. He was waiting. "I should go," Kyan whispered. Rafe nodded slowly. "Doors always open." Kyan turned, made it 3 steps before Rafe spoke again. "Kyan." He stopped. "You ever figure out who taught you to rehearse?" Rafe's voice was quiet. "Come back. I'll tell you why I already know the answer." Kyan left without responding. But he knew he'd be back. "He never punished me. That was worse. Has someone ever seen the real you before you were ready to show them?" Kyan found the keys on accident. He was supposed to be cleaning equipment. Standard closing routine, wipe down machines, check weights, lock up Studio B. Rafe had left early for a meeting, trusting Kyan with the checklist he'd never asked him to memorize but somehow knew by heart anyway. The supply closet door stuck. Kyan pulled harder than necessary and the handle gave way, sending him stumbling backward as the door swung wide. Something metal clattered to the floor. Keys on a carabiner. 5 of them. Different shapes, different colors. One was labeled upstairs private. Kyan stared at it for 10 full seconds. He should leave it. Walk away. Finish closing and go home like he'd planned. Rafe trusted him with this space and violating that trust would be. His hand closed around the carabiner. The stairwell behind the office was narrow. Concrete walls, industrial lighting, the kind of space that felt temporary even though it wasn't. Kyan climbed slowly, heart hammering against his ribs, every footstep echoing too loud. The door at the top was unmarked. The key slid in smooth. The lock clicked. Kyan pushed the door open and stepped into Rafe Calder's private apartment. It wasn't what he expected. The space was clean but not neat. Functional. A kitchen area with mismatched dishes in the drying rack. A couch that had seen better years. weights in the corner next to a punching bag that hung from a reinforced beam. Bookshelves crammed with paperbacks, crime fiction, philosophy, training manuals. And in the center of the room, lying on a dog bed twice his size, was the German shepherd from the photo. The dog's head snapped up. Kyan froze. They stared at each other. The dog didn't growl, didn't bark, just watched him with dark, wary eyes that tracked every micro-movement. His body was coiled tight, ready to bolt or defend depending on what came next. Kyan recognized that posture. He'd worn it himself 1,000 times. Slowly, carefully, Kyan lowered himself to the floor, not approaching, just sitting, making himself smaller, less threatening. "Hey," he said quietly, "I'm not here to hurt you." The dog's ears twitched. Kyan didn't move, didn't reach out, just breathed and waited and let the silence stretch between them. "You're scared," Kyan whispered. "I get it." The dog shifted. Not closer, but not farther away either. Kyan's chest tightened. He knew what this animal had survived. Knew the shape of trauma that taught you to monitor every sound, every shift in energy, every person who got too close too fast. Knew the exhaustion of being constantly ready for impact. "Someone hurt you," Kyan said, "and now you're waiting for it to happen again." The dog's gaze never wavered. Kyan swallowed hard. "Yeah," he said. "Me too." The confession cracked something open in his chest. "Interesting." Kyan's head whipped around. Rafe stood in the doorway, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Kyan scrambled to his feet. I wasn't. You broke into my apartment," Rafe said calmly. "The keys fell. I shouldn't have." Kyan's words tangled. His scent spiked with panic and shame. Rafe held up one hand. "Breathe," he said. Kyan's lungs hitched. He forced air in. In again. Rafe stepped inside, closed the door behind him, didn't move closer. "You want to know why I'm not angry?" Rafe asked. Kyan nodded, throat too tight for words. "Because you didn't come up here to invade my privacy," Rafe said. "You came up here looking for something. I don't." "Recognition," Rafe continued. "You wanted to see if I was real, if this place was real, if the way I've been treating you was performance or something you could actually trust." Kyan stared at him. Rafe crouched down, extended one hand toward the dog. Didn't force contact, just offered the option. The dog sniffed cautiously, then pressed his scarred muzzle against Rafe's palm. "His name's Cassius," Rafe said. "Took him 8 months to let me touch him without flinching. Another 6 before he'd eat without checking over his shoulder every 3 seconds. Kyan's voice came out rough. "What happened to him?" "Handler didn't like that he got hurt on the job," Rafe said. "Decided he was useless. Dumped him in a shelter and moved on to the next dog." The words landed like a physical blow. "That's not," Kyan stopped. "That's not how it works. Police K9s are supposed to be retired honorably, placed in homes, cared for. Supposed to," Rafe agreed. "But rules only matter when people follow them." He stood. Cassius stayed close to his leg, leaning into the contact. "You see it now?" Rafe asked quietly. "See what?" "Why I didn't touch you when I walked in on your confession." Rafe's gaze was steady, unflinching. "Why I gave you space instead of answers. Why I'm not angry that you came up here without permission." Kyan's breath shuddered. "Because you know what it's like," he whispered. "Yeah." Rafe's jaw tightened. "I do." The city hummed beyond the windows. Cassius settled back onto his bed, watching them both. "You asked who taught me to rehearse," Kyan said slowly. "I did. Do you already know the answer?" Rafe looked at him for a long moment. "I have a guess," he said, "but I need you to figure it out yourself first." "Why?" "Because if I tell you," Rafe said, "you'll just add it to the list of things you're supposed to believe because someone else said so." Kyan's chest ached. "How do you?" He stopped, tried again. "How do you know what I need better than I do?" Rafe's expression shifted. Something dark and raw flickered across his face before he locked it down. "I don't," he said, But I know what you're coping with. I've watched you monitor yourself for 6 months, checking your posture, your tone, your scent, making yourself smaller, apologizing for existing in spaces you have every right to occupy. Maybe I'm just polite. Politeness doesn't make your hands shake. Kyan flinched. Rafe stepped closer, not crowding, just closing the distance enough to make his presence solid. Someone taught you that your feelings need permission to exist, Rafe said. That wanting something is dangerous unless it's been approved first. That you're safest when you're invisible. Kyan couldn't breathe. And the worst part? Rafe continued. They probably did it kindly, gently, with your best interests in mind. Stop. The word came out broken. Rafe stopped. They stood 3 feet apart in an apartment that smelled like coffee and dog and something clean Kyan couldn't name. Cassius watched from his bed, head on his paws, eyes tracking every shift in tension. You can leave, Rafe said quietly. Right now. Walk out. We'll pretend this didn't happen. Training continues. Distance maintained. You go back to rehearsing confessions in empty rooms, and I'll go back to pretending I don't notice. Kyan's heart hammered. Or, he asked, or you stay. Rafe's voice dropped lower. And we figure out together why you're so convinced you need permission to be human. Kyan looked at him. This alpha who'd built walls around himself but left the door unlocked, who rescued damaged animals and taught Omegas to be strong without apologizing for it, who saw through every defense Kyan had constructed and still didn't demand he tear them down. He looked at Cassius, scarred and wary and still learning to trust again. He looked at himself reflected in the window, standing in a space he'd broken into looking for proof that safety could exist without surveillance. I should go, Kyan whispered. Rafe nodded, stepped aside. Kyan walked to the door, hand on the handle. One twist and he'd be gone. Kyan. He stopped. You ever decide you're tired of performing? Rafe said. You know where to find me. Kyan left, but the key was still in his pocket. And he knew, bone deep, terrifyingly certain, that he'd be back. He looked at me like I wasn't broken, and that terrified me. When was the last time someone gave you permission to stop pretending? Kyan returned on a Thursday. No excuse this time. No accidental key discovery or closing routine that justified being there. Just a conscious choice to climb those concrete stairs and knock on Rafe's door at 9:40 p.m. when he should have been home. Should have been safe. Should have been anywhere except here asking for something he still couldn't name. Rafe opened the door in sweatpants and a faded t-shirt. Hair damp. Barefoot. He looked at Kyan for 3 long seconds, then stepped aside. Come in. Cassius lifted his head from the dog bed but didn't stand. Progress. Last time he'd been coiled tight, ready to run. Now he just watched, wary but curious. Kyan sat on the floor without being asked. Not on the couch. Not at the table. On the floor, cross-legged, within Cassius's line of sight but not close enough to trigger alarm. Rafe settled onto the couch, coffee mug in hand, and waited. The silence stretched. Comfortable, patient. I've been thinking, Kyan said finally, about what you asked. Who taught me to rehearse? Rafe sipped his coffee. Didn't respond. I had a handler. Still do, technically. Dr. Marcus Whitmore. Kyan's hands twisted in his lap. He didn't hit me. Didn't lock me up. Didn't do anything anyone would call abuse. But, Rafe's voice was quiet. But he taught me to monitor myself before he had to. The words came faster now, pressure building. How to track my moods, my cycles, my social interactions. He called it wellness management, self-awareness, healthy boundaries. How old were you when it started? 16. Right after I presented. Kyan's throat tightened. Everyone said I was lucky, that most Omegas don't get that level of support. That Marcus was doing important work. Rafe set his coffee down carefully. Did you feel lucky? He asked. Kyan's laugh was hollow. I felt safe. Which isn't the same thing, but I didn't know that then. Cassius shifted, rose slowly from his bed, took 3 cautious steps toward Kyan, then stopped. Watching, assessing. Kyan held perfectly still. He never told me what to do, Kyan continued. He just made sure I understood the consequences of every choice. Made sure I knew which behaviors were healthy and which ones were concerning. Made sure I reported back regularly so he could help me adjust. Adjust? Rafe repeated, tone flat. Yeah. Kyan's voice cracked. Because that's care, right? Helping someone become better, safer, more functional. Cassius took another step closer. Except, Kyan whispered. I started noticing things. How I'd check in with him before making plans. How I'd rewrite texts 3 times to make sure they sounded stable. How I'd practice conversations out loud to make sure I didn't say anything that might worry him. Because his worry meant you were failing. Kyan's breath hitched. Yeah. Cassius was right next to him now. Close enough that Kyan could feel the heat radiating from his body. The dog sat, leaned forward, pressed his scarred muzzle against Kyan's knee. Kyan's vision blurred. He never hurt me, he said, tears sliding down his face. He was kind, patient. Everyone loved him. How do I... His voice broke. How do I call it harm when he never raised his voice? When all he did was care. Rafe moved. Not fast, but deliberate. He lowered himself to the floor across from Kyan, maintaining space but closing the distance enough to matter. Look at Cassius, Rafe said quietly. Kyan looked down. The dog was pressed against his leg now, trembling slightly, seeking contact but ready to bolt if it went wrong. His handler didn't beat him, Rafe continued, didn't starve him, just worked him past his limits and punished him with silence when he didn't perform. Made him believe his worth was conditional. That love required constant proof. Kyan's hand moved slowly, gently. He laid his palm on Cassius's head. The dog leaned into the touch. That's still harm, Rafe said, even when it's wrapped in good intentions. The words cracked something fundamental in Kyan's chest. I don't know how to trust my own feelings anymore, he whispered. I've spent 10 years checking them against someone else's version of healthy. How do I know what's real? You practice, Rafe said. Same way Cassius is learning. One small choice at a time. Kyan looked up. What if I choose wrong? Then you choose again. Rafe's gaze was steady. But wrong according to who? Marcus? Or you? The question hung in the air. Cassius shifted, rested his head on Kyan's thigh. Full weight, full trust. Kyan's tears fell faster. I wanted to tell you something, he said, that night in the studio. But I couldn't remember if I was supposed to want it or if Marcus had suggested I shouldn't pursue relationships until I was more stable, and I got confused about whose voice I was hearing. Rafe's jaw tightened. So you rehearsed, he said, until you found a version that felt safe enough to say out loud. Yeah. And I walked in before you finished. Kyan nodded. Rafe was quiet for a long moment. His hands were fisted against his thighs, knuckles white with tension. I'm going to tell you something, Rafe said finally, and I need you to hear it without filtering it through what Marcus taught you to believe. Kyan's pulse spiked. I grew up in a mafia family, Rafe said. My father ran operations for the East Side. Violence was currency. Dominance was expected. As an alpha, I was supposed to lead, command, take what I wanted and justify it as strength. Kyan stared at him. I was good at it, Rafe continued, voice hollow. Too good. I learned how to read people, how to apply pressure, how to make someone believe they wanted to comply before they realized they were being controlled. Why are you telling me this? Because I left that world, Rafe said. Not because I was noble. Because I recognized myself in the people I was breaking. Because I woke up one day and realized I'd become the thing I hated. The confession settled between them, heavy and raw. This gym isn't a business, Rafe said. It's penance. Every person who walks through that door scared and hurt and convinced they're too damaged to be strong. I see myself, and I'm trying to give them what I never had. What's that? A choice. Rafe's voice dropped. A real one, without consequences designed to steer the outcome. Kyan's chest ached. Is that what you're giving me? He asked. Choice. I'm trying. Rafe's gaze was intense. But I need you to know. I see you, Kyan. I see what Marcus did even if he never meant to hurt you. And I see what you're capable of if someone just stops managing you long enough to let you breathe. Kyan couldn't speak. Cassius made a soft sound. Not quite a whine. Something gentler. He pressed closer, offering comfort without asking for anything in return. You don't owe me an answer, Rafe said. About that night. About anything. But if you ever want to tell me something without rehearsing it first, I'm here. Kyan's hand tightened in Cassius's fur. What if I don't know how? He whispered. Then we'll figure it out together. The city lights flickered beyond the windows. Cassius's breathing slowed, steady and calm. Rafe stayed perfectly still, giving Kyan space to process, to feel, to exist without performance. And for the first time in 10 years, Kyan didn't check his words before speaking. I'm scared, he said, raw, unfiltered. I'm scared that if I stop monitoring myself, I'll fall apart. That everything Marcus taught me is the only thing holding me together. You won't, Rafe said. How do you know? Because you're already stronger than you think. Rafe leaned forward slightly. You've been holding yourself together with someone else's rules. Imagine what you could do with your own. The words landed like oxygen after drowning. Kyan looked at Rafe, this man who'd walked away from power and built something quieter in its place, who saw harm even when it wore the mask of care, who offered choice without demanding gratitude. He looked at Cassius, damaged and learning one careful touch at a time. He looked at his own hands, shaking but no longer hiding. Can I stay? Kyan asked. Just for a while? Rafe nodded. As long as you need. Kyan stayed until midnight. They didn't talk about Marcus. Didn't talk about confessions. Just sat in comfortable silence while Cassius slept between them. Proof that healing was possible even when the damage was invisible. When Kyan finally left, Rafe walked him to the door. Same time next week? Rafe asked. Kyan smiled. Small but real. Yeah, he said. Same time. He walked down the concrete stairs with Cassius's warmth still pressed against his leg and Rafe's words echoing in his chest. Imagine what you could do with your own rules. For the first time, he wanted to find out. For the first time, I realized he was holding himself back. Who in your life taught you to edit yourself before speaking? The invitation came on a Tuesday, not through text. Not a casual mention during training. Rafe handed Kyan a folded piece of paper after their session. Expression carefully neutral. Read it when you're ready, Rafe said. No pressure. No expectations. Then he walked away before Kyan could respond. Kyan waited until he was in his car, parked 3 blocks from the gym, before unfolding the paper. There's a property outside the city. Private. Quiet. I go there when I need distance from everything else. You're welcome to join me this weekend. Or not. Your choice. An address. Nothing else. Kyan's hands shook. This wasn't training. Wasn't therapy. Wasn't another careful conversation in Rafe's apartment with Cassius as buffer. This was Rafe offering something more. Something undefined. Something that required Kyan to decide what he wanted without a script. His phone buzzed. Marcus. Haven't heard from you in a few days. Everything okay? Want to schedule a check-in? Kyan stared at the message, then at the address, then back at the message. His chest tightened. Marcus wasn't asking if something was wrong. He was noting the deviation, marking the change in pattern, reminding Kyan that silence required explanation, that independence needed justification. Care wrapped around surveillance. Kyan deleted the message without responding. He drove to the address on Saturday morning. The property was an hour outside the city, tucked into wooded hills that swallowed the sound of traffic and replaced it with wind-through trees. A small cabin, simple, functional, the kind of place built for solitude, not comfort. Rafe's truck was already parked outside. Kyan sat in his car for 5 full minutes, engine off, hands gripping the steering wheel. He could still leave, turn around, text an excuse, return to the familiar shape of his life where every choice had been pre-approved. He got out of the car, Rafe opened the door before Kyan knocked. "You came," Rafe said, not surprised, just acknowledging. "You invited me." "I did." Rafe stepped aside. "But you didn't have to accept." Kyan walked inside. The cabin was sparse. Couch, table, kitchenette. Large windows overlooking the trees. No TV. No distractions. Just space and silence and the weight of a choice Kyan still didn't fully understand. Cassius was sprawled on the couch, tail thumping once in greeting. "He's been here before," Kyan said. "Yeah." Rafe closed the door. "This is where I brought him after the shelter. Figured he needed distance from the city, from triggers, from expectations." "Did it work?" "Took time," Rafe said. "But yeah, out here, he started remembering he was more than his trauma." Kyan's throat tightened. They spent the morning in quiet routine. Coffee, breakfast, a walk through the woods that stretched longer than planned because neither of them wanted to break the peace. Cassius ranged ahead, confident in a way he never was in the city. By afternoon, they were sitting on the porch, watching light filter through branches. "Can I ask you something?" Kyan said. "Always." "Why did you invite me here?" Rafe was quiet for a moment. "Because I wanted to," he said finally. "Not because you needed saving. Not because I thought you required intervention. Just because I wanted your company without agenda." "That's not how it works," Kyan said automatically. "Why not?" "Because," he stopped. Realization hit hard. "Because everyone who's ever wanted my company has had a reason, purpose, something they were trying to accomplish by including me." Rafe turned to look at him. "What if I just like talking to you?" he asked. "What if proximity doesn't require justification?" Kyan's breath caught. "I don't know how to do that," he whispered. "I don't know how to be around someone without monitoring whether I'm being the right version of myself." "Then don't monitor." Rafe's voice was gentle. "Just be. What if you don't like what that looks like?" "Then I deal with it," Rafe said. "But that's my problem, not yours." The words should have felt dangerous. Instead, they felt like permission. Kyan's phone buzzed. "Marcus." "Kyan, I'm concerned. You've missed 2 check-ins and haven't responded to messages. If you're struggling, we should talk. I'm here to help." Kyan stared at the screen. Help. The word Marcus used to mean management, control, correction disguised as support. "You okay?" Rafe asked. "Marcus is worried," Kyan said. "I haven't been reporting in." "Reporting?" Rafe's tone sharpened. "That's the word you use?" Kyan flinched. "He calls it check-ins, wellness updates, making sure I'm stable. And if you're not, then we adjust." The phrase came automatically. "We figure out what needs to change so I can get back on track." Rafe's jaw tightened. "Back on track toward what?" he asked. "Whose track?" Kyan didn't answer. "You're 26, Rafe said quietly. "You have a job, an apartment. You show up on time, pay your bills, treat people with respect. By every measure, you're functional. So what exactly does Marcus think needs monitoring?" "I don't," Kyan's voice cracked. "He's helping me." "Is he?" The question was a knife between ribs. Kyan stood, paced to the edge of the porch. His pulse hammered against his throat. "You don't understand," he said. "Marcus has been there since I presented. He taught me how to navigate this world, how to protect myself, how to need him," Rafe finished. Kyan spun around. "That's not fair, isn't it?" Rafe stayed seated, but his gaze was intense. "Answer me this. When was the last time you made a decision without considering what Marcus would think about it?" Silence. "When was the last time you went somewhere without explaining where you'd be?" Kyan's hands clenched. "When was the last time you felt something without checking whether it was the right thing to feel?" "Stop. I'm not trying to hurt you," Rafe said. "I'm trying to show you what you can't see because you've been living in it too long." Kyan's chest heaved. Panic clawed up his throat. "What if you're wrong?" he demanded. "What if Marcus genuinely cares and I'm just being paranoid? Then why are you terrified right now?" Rafe asked. Why does the idea of not reporting and make you feel like you're doing something dangerous? Kyan's phone buzzed again. Marcus, I'm coming by your apartment tonight. We need to talk. The message landed like a physical blow. Not a request. A statement. An assumption that Marcus had the right to show up, to demand explanation, to reassert control when Kyan dared to drift too far from supervision. He's coming to my apartment, Kyan said, voice hollow. Rafe stood. Do you want him to? He asked. I don't. Kyan's throat closed. I don't know. Yes, you do. Rafe's voice was steady. You're just scared to say it out loud. Kyan looked at him. This alpha who'd offered choice without consequence, who'd given him space to breathe, who saw the cage even when it was built with good intentions. No, Kyan whispered. I don't want him there. The confession cracked something open. Then tell him, Rafe said. I can't. Why not? Because he'll be hurt, concerned. He'll want to know what's wrong and why I'm pulling away and what happened to make me unstable and none of that is your responsibility, Rafe said firmly. His feelings about your boundaries are his problem, not yours. Kyan's hands shook. What do I say? The truth. Rafe walked closer. You say you need space. You say you'll reach out when you're ready. You say no. Just no. Just no. Kyan stared at his phone. 10 years of conditioning screamed at him. 10 years of learning that disappointing Marcus meant failing, that boundaries required justification, that saying no without extensive explanation was cruel. He typed 3 words. I need space. His finger hovered over send. What if this ruins everything? He asked. What if it saves you? Rafe countered. Kyan hit send. The message delivered. He waited for the crushing weight of guilt, for the certainty that he'd done something unforgivable. Instead, he felt lighter. Marcus started typing. Stopped. Started again. The 3 dots hovered for a full minute before the response came. Marcus, I don't understand. Have I done something to upset you? We should discuss this in person. Kyan's stomach twisted. Even now, even in response to a boundary, Marcus was repositioning the conversation, making it about what Kyan had done, what explanation was owed, what discussion would fix the deviation. You don't owe him a thesis defense, Rafe said quietly. No is a complete sentence. Kyan's hands shook. He typed, I'm not available tonight. I'll contact you when I'm ready. Send. Marcus. Kyan, this isn't healthy. You're isolating. Let me help. The manipulation was so smooth Kyan almost missed it. Framing boundaries as symptoms. Framing independence as dysfunction. Framing Marcus's need for access as Kyan's need for help. He's not going to accept this, Kyan said. No, Rafe agreed. He won't. People who benefit from your compliance never applaud your autonomy. Kyan looked up at him. What do I do? You hold the line, Rafe said. He'll push. He'll guilt. He'll express concern and confusion and hurt. And you keep saying no until he hears it. What if he doesn't? Then you learn something important about him. Kyan's chest ached. Marcus, fine. But I'm documenting this conversation. If something happens because you refused support, that's not on me. The threat was subtle, wrapped in care, but it was there. If something happens, that's not on me. Translation, your choices have consequences, and I'll make sure everyone knows I tried to stop you. Kyan's anger flared. He's already planning how to frame this, he said, voice tight. How to make sure I look unstable if I don't comply. Rafe's expression darkened. Yeah, he said. That's what handlers do when they lose control. They build a paper trail. So what? I just accept that he's going to undermine me? No. Rafe's voice was cold. You document right back. Every message, every boundary violation, every time he reframes your autonomy as pathology. That's not, Kyan stopped. That's not how Marcus operates. He doesn't make threats. He expresses concern. Concern is a weapon when it's used to override your choices. The truth settled like stone. Kyan put his phone away. I can't think about this anymore, he said. Not tonight. Then don't, Rafe said. You're here. He's not. You get to decide how you spend the next few hours. Kyan looked at him. What would you do? He asked. If you were me? Rafe considered the question. I'd stay, he said finally. I'd sit on this porch and watch the trees and let myself exist without justification. I'd practice making choices that didn't require permission. And I'd remember that healing isn't linear. Some days you'll be strong, some days you'll doubt everything, and both are okay. Kyan's throat tightened. Can I really just stay? You already did, Rafe said. You drove here. You walked inside. You set a boundary. You're already choosing, Kyan. Now you just have to let yourself believe it counts. They sat in silence as the sun dropped lower, painting the trees gold and shadow. Cassius padded over, settled between them, warm and solid and proof that trust could rebuild. Kyan's phone stayed silent. And for the first time in 10 years, the silence felt like freedom instead of failure. No one had ever waited for my answer before. What boundary have you been too afraid to set? The contract appeared on Kyan's doorstep 3 days after he returned from the cabin. No return address, just a manila envelope with his name typed across the front. Inside, a consultation agreement from Marcus's practice, dated 2 weeks prior. Signature line highlighted. Kyan's blood ran cold. He'd never seen this document before, never agreed to extended services, never authorized Marcus to formalize their arrangement beyond the original support structure from 10 years ago. But there it was. Legal language about ongoing mental health supervision, crisis intervention protocols, authority to contact emergency services if the client demonstrated concerning behavior patterns. His phone rang. Marcus. Kyan stared at the screen. Let it go to voicemail. The message came through 30 seconds later. Kyan, I'm concerned you didn't receive the contract I sent for renewal. Your signature is required by Friday to maintain continuity of care. Call me back so we can discuss this properly. I'm worried about you. Continuity of care. As if Kyan had been receiving medical treatment instead of voluntarily checking in with someone he trusted. As if stopping required Marcus's permission. Kyan drove to the gym. Rafe was in the office, door open, reviewing what looked like financial records. He glanced up when Kyan appeared in the doorway. One look at Kyan's face and he set the papers aside. What happened? Kyan handed him the contract. Rafe read it slowly. His expression never changed, but his knuckles went white against the paper. When did you sign this? He asked quietly. I didn't. Then why does he have it? I don't know. Kyan's voice shook. He's acting like it's a renewal. Like I agreed to this years ago and just forgot. Rafe set the contract down carefully. This gives him legal standing to intervene in your life, he said. To contact your employer, your landlord, anyone he deems necessary if he decides you're in crisis. I know. And crisis is defined as... Rafe scanned the document. Behavioral changes including social withdrawal, missed appointments, or refusal of recommended treatment. Kyan's stomach turned. Every boundary he'd set. Every time he'd said no. Every moment he'd chosen distance instead of compliance. Marcus could frame all of it as evidence of deterioration. He's building a case, Kyan whispered. Yeah. Rafe's jaw tightened. He is. What do I do? Rafe looked at him for a long moment. You fight back, he said. But not the way he expects. What does that mean? It means we don't give him the confrontation he's preparing for. Rafe stood, moved to a filing cabinet, pulled out a folder. Marcus operates through institutions, reputation, the appearance of professional concern. So we dismantle that. Quietly, Kyan's pulse hammered. How? I know people, Rafe said. People who understand how power moves when it doesn't want to be seen. People who can look into licenses, client complaints, patterns of practice that might not hold up under scrutiny. You mean? I mean Marcus isn't the only one who can build a file. The words should have scared Kyan. Should have felt like escalation, like crossing a line he couldn't uncross. Instead, they felt like oxygen. You'd do that? Kyan asked. I'm already doing it. Rafe's gaze was steady. I started 3 days ago. The moment you told me about the check-ins and the monitoring and the way he reframes your choices as symptoms. Kyan stared at him. Why? Because I recognized the pattern. Rafe's voice dropped. And because I refused to watch it happen to someone He stopped. Redirected. To someone who deserves better. The almost confession hung in the air. Kyan's chest ached. What if it's not enough? He asked. What if Marcus is too careful? Too respected? Then we make sure the right people start asking the right questions. Rafe pulled out his phone, showed Kyan a list of names. State licensing boards, ethics committees, professional oversight organizations. You're going to report him? I'm going to make sure his practices get reviewed, Rafe corrected. What happens after that depends on what they find. Kyan's hands shook. This was real. This was happening. This was the moment where he either trusted Rafe's quiet power or retreated back into the safety of Marcus's control. Do it, Kyan said. Rafe nodded once. His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, expression darkening. What? Kyan asked. Rafe turned the phone around. A text from an unknown number. Tell your Omega to be careful. Instability has consequences. Kyan's breath stopped. Marcus knew. About Rafe. About the cabin. About the choice Kyan had made to step outside the carefully constructed boundaries. And he was threatening them both. He's escalating, Kyan whispered. Good, Rafe said coldly. Desperate people make mistakes. He looked at Kyan with an intensity that felt like a promise. You're not alone in this anymore, Rafe said. Whatever he does next, we handle it together. Kyan wanted to believe him. But Marcus had spent 10 years teaching him that autonomy was dangerous. And unlearning that lesson might cost him everything. That's when I understood. This wasn't personal. It was systemic. Have you ever realized someone's care was actually control? Drop your story in the comments and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. We've got more stories coming that'll hit different. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. The audit notification arrived at Marcus's practice on a Monday. Kyan didn't know about it until Wednesday, when Marcus showed up at the gym during peak hours. Professional smile, tailored suit, the kind of entrance designed to look casual while broadcasting authority. Rafe was training a client. He glanced up, registered Marcus's presence, and continued counting reps without breaking rhythm. Marcus waited. Kyan was restocking towels near the front desk. His sense spiked the moment he saw Marcus. Panic and anger tangled together, body betraying what his face tried to hide. Kyan. Marcus's voice was warm, concerned. Can we talk? Privately? I'm working. It's important. So is my job. Marcus's smile tightened. Just barely. Just enough. I received an interesting letter yesterday, he said, quieter now, from the state licensing board. Apparently someone filed a complaint about my practice standards. Kyan's pulse hammered. I wouldn't know anything about that. Wouldn't you? Marcus stepped closer. Not threatening, just closing distance in a way that made Kyan's skin crawl. It's curious timing. Right after you started distancing yourself. Right after you began spending time with. His gaze flicked toward Rafe. New influences. His name is Rafe. I'm sure he's very supportive. Marcus's tone could have cut glass. But I wonder if he understands the complexities of Omega Care. The years of work we've done together. The progress you've made under proper guidance. I'm not your client anymore. That's not how therapeutic relationships work, Kyan. You don't just walk away without transition planning. Without ensuring you have adequate support systems in place. I have support. Do you? Marcus glanced around the gym. Or do you have an alpha with a savior complex who's convinced you that boundaries are abuse? The accusation landed like a slap. Kyan opened his mouth to respond, but Rafe's voice cut through first. Client's done. He walked over, positioning himself between Kyan and Marcus without making it obvious. Can I help you with something? Marcus's expression didn't change. I'm here to speak with Kyan. Privately. He said he's working, and I said it's important. Then make an appointment. Rafe's tone was pleasant, immovable. Marcus studied him for a long moment, reading, assessing, calculating. You must be Rafe Calder, Marcus said finally. I've heard about you, your family's history, the connections you maintained despite claiming to have walked away. Rafe's jaw tightened. Funny how certain patterns persist, Marcus continued. Dominance, control, the belief that you know what's best for others. I'm not controlling anyone, aren't you? Marcus's smile was kind, pitying. You've isolated Kyan from his support network. Convinced him that professional mental health care is manipulation. That's textbook predatory behavior. The accusation hung in the air. Kyan's hands clenched. That's not what's happening, he said. Isn't it? Marcus turned back to him. Look at yourself, Kyan. You're anxious, defensive, pulling away from people who actually care about you. Those are warning signs. You know this. Or maybe I'm finally setting boundaries. Boundaries built on paranoia aren't healthy. Marcus's voice softened. I know this feels like freedom, but it's just a different kind of cage. And when it collapses, when he gets bored or you don't meet his expectations, you'll have no one left. The words were surgical, precise, designed to hit every fear Marcus had spent years cultivating. Kyan felt himself wavering. Then Rafe spoke. You should leave, he said quietly. Excuse me? You heard me. Rafe's voice was cold, controlled. This is private property. Kyan asked you to leave. I'm reinforcing that request. Marcus's expression hardened. I see. He looked at Kyan. When you're ready to have an actual conversation, away from outside influence, you know how to reach me. I'll be waiting, because unlike some people, I don't abandon the people I care about. He left. The gym felt too quiet. Kyan's legs gave out. He sat down hard on the nearest bench, shaking. Rafe crouched in front of him. Breathe, he said. He's right. Kyan's voice cracked. What if he's right? What if I'm just trading one kind of control for another? Look at me. Kyan forced his gaze up. Has anyone here told you who to talk to? Rafe asked. Where to go? What to feel? No. Has anyone punished you for making choices? No. Then it's not the same. Rafe's voice was steady. And Marcus knows that. That's why he's scared. Scared. The audit's real, Rafe said. And it's finding things. Patterns of client dependency. Questionable documentation practices. Boundary violations masked as care. Kyan's breath caught. How do you know? Because I made sure the right people were looking. Rafe's gaze was intense. And they're seeing what I saw. What you couldn't see because you were too close. What happens now? Now? Rafe stood, offered his hand. Now we wait. And we trust that systems designed to protect people will actually do their job. Kyan took his hand. Let himself be pulled upright. What if they don't? Then we make sure they can't ignore it. Rafe's phone buzzed. He checked it, expression darkening. What? Kyan asked. Rafe showed him the screen. An email from the state board. Request for additional documentation regarding client relationships and consent practices. Specifically, evidence of voluntary continuation of services, clear termination protocols, and boundaries around after-hours contact. Everything Marcus had violated. Everything he'd been doing for years, wrapped in professionalism and concern. It's working, Kyan whispered. Yeah. Rafe's voice was grim, which means he's about to get dangerous. I thought nothing was happening. I was wrong. Ever watch someone's mask crack when they realized they were losing control? Subscribe and hit that bell. The next chapter is where everything shifts. Drop a comment if you've been through something similar. You might save someone else. The banquet hall was full of people who believed in Marcus Whitmore. Kyan stood near the back, dress clothes feeling too tight, watching Marcus accept an award for outstanding achievement in Omega advocacy. Applause filled the space. Smiles. Cameras flashing. a celebration of a man whose career was built on making vulnerable people believe they needed him. Rafe was 3 tables away, close enough to see, far enough to give Kyan space. This was the test neither of them had planned for. Marcus had invited Kyan personally, called it an olive branch, a chance to reconnect before things got worse. The message was clear: show up and prove you're stable, or your absence becomes evidence of deterioration. So Kyan came, but not for Marcus, for himself. Marcus finished his speech. Something about dedication and trust and the sacred responsibility of caring for Omegas in a world that still didn't understand them. The crowd ate it up. Standing ovation, people wiping tears. Kyan felt sick. The ceremony ended. People mingled. Marcus worked the room like a politician, shaking hands, accepting congratulations, playing the role he'd perfected over decades. Then his gaze found Kyan. He crossed the room with purpose. "You came," Marcus said, smile warm. "I'm glad. You asked me to." "I did." Marcus's hand landed on Kyan's shoulder. Gentle, familiar, possessive. "I've missed you. Missed our conversations. We can talk here. This isn't private. I don't need private." Something flickered behind Marcus's eyes. "Kyan." His voice dropped, concern shading into warning. "People are watching. Let's not make a scene." "I'm not making anything. You're being defensive, hostile. That's not like you." "Maybe you don't know what I'm like anymore." Marcus's jaw tightened. His hand squeezed, just slightly, just enough to remind Kyan of the pressure he could apply when necessary. "I know you better than you know yourself," Marcus said quietly. "I know you're scared. Confused. That alpha has convinced you that independence means cutting ties with everyone who's ever helped you. His name is Rafe. I don't care what his name is." Marcus's mask slipped. Just for a second. Just enough. "I care that he's destroying everything we built. That he's undoing years of progress because he thinks he knows better. Maybe he does." The words came out steady, clear. Marcus's expression went cold. "You're making a mistake," he said. "And when it falls apart, when he hurts you the way alphas like him always do, don't expect me to pick up the pieces. I won't. You will." Marcus leaned closer. "Because you're not strong enough to survive alone. You never were. That's why you needed me." The room felt too small, too hot. Everyone was still celebrating, oblivious to the confrontation happening in their midst. Kyan's heart hammered against his ribs. This was the moment. Walk away and Marcus wins. Stay silent and the control continues. Or speak. And risk everything. "You're wrong," Kyan said. Marcus's eyes narrowed. "Excuse me? You're wrong." Kyan's voice was louder now, carrying. "I wasn't weak. I was conditioned. And there's a difference." People started noticing. Conversations quieting. Attention shifting. Marcus's smile returned. Practiced. Perfect. "Kyan, you're upset. Let's discuss this somewhere private." "No." Kyan stepped back. "I'm done with private. Done with conversations designed to make me question my own reality. You're having an episode. I'm having a breakthrough." Marcus's hand reached for him again. Kyan moved out of range. The room was quiet now, watching. "For 10 years, Kyan said, voice steady despite the shaking in his hands. "You taught me that needing help meant needing you, that boundaries were symptoms, that saying no required justification. You called it care, but it was control." Marcus's expression darkened. "That's a serious accusation." "It's the truth." "Based on what?" "The word of an alpha with a criminal background? Someone who profits from making people distrust legitimate mental health services." "Based on my own experience." Kyan's chest felt tight, but his voice didn't waver. "Based on the contract you tried to make me sign without my knowledge. Based on the way you show up uninvited and call it concern. Based on 10 years of monitoring disguised as support." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Marcus's jaw clenched. "You're unwell," he said. "And I'm not going to engage with this delusion." "Then don't," Kyan said. But stop pretending you're the victim when I finally choose myself. Silence. Marcus stared at him, calculating, reassessing. Then he smiled. I see, he said quietly. Well, I hope you find what you're looking for. He turned, walked away, disappeared into the crowd like nothing had happened. But Kyan saw it, the crack in the mask, the fury underneath the professionalism, the realization that control was slipping. Rafe appeared at his side. You okay? He asked quietly. Kyan's hands were shaking. His scent was chaos. His chest felt like it might collapse. But he'd spoken. Without rehearsing. Without permission. He'd spoken. Yeah, Kyan whispered. I think I am. This time I didn't rehearse. Have you ever stood up for yourself in front of people who didn't believe you? This story isn't over. Subscribe and turn on notifications because what happens next changes everything. Share your truth in the comments. Someone needs to hear it. The licenses started disappearing 2 weeks later. Not all at once. Not obvious enough to look like retaliation. Just quiet removals of Marcus's credentials from professional directories. Consulting contracts that didn't renew. Conference invitations that stopped coming. Kyan didn't know about most of it until Rafe showed him the documentation. They were in the apartment above the gym. Cassius asleep between them. City lights painting patterns on the walls. The audit concluded, Rafe said, handing Kyan a folder. Final report just came through. Kyan opened it with shaking hands. Findings of systematic boundary violations. Evidence of fostering client dependency beyond therapeutic necessity. Documentation inconsistencies regarding consent and voluntary participation. Recommendations for practice restrictions and mandatory ethics training. Not enough to revoke Marcus's license entirely, but enough to damage his reputation permanently. He's done, Rafe said quietly. Not publicly destroyed, not humiliated, just quietly removed from positions where he can do harm. Kyan stared at the words. 10 years of control, dismantled through paperwork and procedural review. It feels anticlimactic, he said. That's how real justice works, Rafe replied. No explosions, no dramatic confrontations, just systems finally doing what they're supposed to do. Kyan set the folder down. What about the people he already hurt? He asked. The other clients who don't know they were being manipulated? That's up to them. Rafe's voice was careful. You can't save everyone, Kyan. You can only hold the door open and hope they walk through. The words settled heavy. Kyan looked at Rafe, this man who'd recognized harm where others saw care, who'd wielded power without spectacle, who'd given Kyan space to break and rebuild without demanding gratitude. Why did you help me? Kyan asked. Rafe was quiet for a long moment. Because I know what it's like, he said finally. To mistake survival for living. Is that what I was doing? Yeah. Rafe met his gaze. And I wasn't going to watch it happen to someone who deserved better. Someone, Kyan repeated. You said that before, at the cabin. Someone you. He stopped. Rafe's jaw tightened. Someone I what? He asked quietly. Kyan's heart hammered. This was the moment. The confession he'd rehearsed 1,000 times before realizing rehearsal was the problem. Someone you care about, Kyan finished. Yeah. Rafe's voice was rough. I do. The air between them felt charged. I could mark you, Rafe said suddenly. Not moving. Not closing distance. Just offering truth. No one would question it. No one would dare touch you. You'd be protected. Safe. Kyan's breath caught. And if I don't want protection? He asked. If I want to stand on my own? Rafe's hands clenched. An alpha-resisting instinct was visible. The tension in his shoulders, the white-knuckle grip, the way his breath came controlled and measured like he was holding back something massive. Then I won't take that from you, Rafe said. Even if every part of me wants to claim you. Even if it kills me to step back. He stood, walked to the window, put distance between them like it cost him everything. I won't turn you into something you escaped, Rafe said, voice hollow. I won't make you belong to me just because I want you to. That's not love. That's just ownership with a different name. Kyan stood, crossed the space, stood behind Rafe close enough to feel the heat radiating from his body. What if I don't want to belong to someone? Kyan asked. What if I want to choose someone? Rafe turned. Their gazes locked. What does that mean? Rafe asked. It means, Kyan's voice shook. It means I'm not asking you to save me. I'm asking if you want to walk beside me, as equals, as partners, as two people who've survived enough to know the difference between possession and presence. Rafe's breath hitched. That's what you want? He asked. That's what I want. Not because I helped you. Not because you think you owe me. Because I choose you, Kyan said firmly. Without rehearsal. Without permission. I choose you. The confession hung between them. Rafe's hands shook. He reached out slowly, cupped Kyan's face with a gentleness that felt like reverence. I don't deserve this, Rafe whispered. Neither do I, Kyan said. But maybe that's the point. We choose anyway. Rafe pulled him close, not claiming, not possessing, just holding, and Kyan let himself be held. Not because he needed saving, but because he wanted proximity, connection, the kind of love that asked instead of assumed. Cassius made a soft sound from the couch. They both looked over. The dog was watching them with something that looked like approval. His tail thumped once. Even he agrees, Kyan said, laughing through tears. Rafe pressed his forehead against Kyan's. We're going to do this right, he said. Slowly, with communication, with space when you need it. No assumptions, no control. What if I mess up? Then we figure it out. Rafe's voice was steady. Together, that's the whole point. Kyan kissed him, soft, careful, a promise instead of a performance. When they pulled apart, Rafe was smiling. That was real, he said. Yeah, Kyan whispered. It was. He could have claimed me. He didn't. When did you stop performing and start living? We've got more stories coming that'll make you rethink everything. Subscribe, hit notifications, and tell us in the comments what part hit hardest. Your story matters. Share it. The gym closed at 10. Kyan finished wiping down equipment while Rafe locked the front doors. Cassius waited patiently by the stairs, ready for the nightly routine they'd built over months of careful practice. This was home now, not because Kyan had nowhere else to go, but because he'd chosen it. Upstairs, the apartment felt different than it had that first night when he'd broken in searching for proof that safety could exist without surveillance. Now the space held memory, shared mornings, quiet evenings, arguments that ended with understanding instead of compliance. They sat on the couch, Cassius between them. The dog's head rested on Kyan's thigh while Rafe's hand found Kyan's, fingers threading together with easy familiarity. Marcus called the gym today, Rafe said. Kyan tensed. What did he want? To inform me that he's relocating his practice. Rafe's thumb traced circles on Kyan's palm, moving 2 states over, starting fresh. Running, Kyan said quietly. Yeah, probably. They sat in silence for a moment. Do you feel guilty? Rafe asked. About what happened to him? Kyan considered the question. No, he said finally. I feel sad. Sad that it took formal consequences for him to stop. Sad for whoever he might have helped if he'd actually listened instead of controlled. That's not your responsibility. I know. Kyan leaned into Rafe's shoulder. I'm still learning that. Learning that other people's choices aren't mine to carry. Rafe pressed a kiss to his temple. You're doing good, he said. Better than good. Kyan smiled. 6 months ago, compliments made him check whether he deserved them. Now he just accepted them, let them land without interrogation. Progress looked quieter than he'd expected. I talked to my family last week, Kyan said. Rafe looked at him. Yeah. Told them about Marcus, about what happened. Kyan's chest tightened at the memory. My mom cried, said she didn't know, that she thought he was helping. What did you say? That it's okay. That she couldn't have known what I didn't know myself. Kyan swallowed hard. And that I'm okay now. Actually okay. Not performing okay. How'd that feel? Terrifying. Kyan laughed. But good. Really good. Cassius shifted, pressing closer. The dog had gained weight since Kyan first met him. His coat was shinier. His eyes less haunted. Recovery looked different for everyone. But the pattern was the same. Time, patience, consistency. I've been thinking, Kyan said carefully, about the gym. How you help people. Kyan turned to face Rafe. What if we expanded? Created a space specifically for omegas who've experienced what I did. Not therapy. Not formal programming. Just training. Community. A place where strength doesn't require justification. Rafe's expression shifted. Something bright and cautious flickering there. You want to build that? He asked. With you, Kyan clarified. Not for you. With you. As partners. Rafe was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled. Yeah, he said. Let's do it. They talked until midnight. Plans. Ideas. Dreams neither of them had allowed themselves before. Building something that honored what they'd survived without being defined by it. When they finally went to bed, Cassius followed. Claimed his spot between them like he'd done every night since Kyan moved in. The dog's breathing slowed. Deepened. Peaceful. Kyan stared at the ceiling. You awake? Rafe asked quietly. Yeah. What are you thinking about? Kyan considered lying. Saying something simple. Safe. Instead, he chose honesty. I'm thinking about how much I've changed, he said. How 6 months ago I couldn't imagine making a choice without checking if it was allowed. And now I'm planning a future. Making decisions. Existing without permission. How does that feel? Scary, Kyan admitted. But good. Like I'm finally learning who I am when no one's watching. Rafe's hand found his in the darkness. I'm proud of you, he said. For what? For choosing yourself. Even when it was hard. Even when it meant walking away from everything familiar. Kyan's chest ached. The good kind of ache. The kind that meant healing instead of breaking. I'm proud of you too, he said. For building something real. For teaching people that power doesn't have to mean harm. They lay in comfortable silence. Cassius snored softly. The city hummed beyond the windows. Everything felt possible and terrifying and exactly right. Rafe. Yeah. Thank you. For what? For not saving me, Kyan said. For teaching me I didn't need saving. Just space. And choice. And someone willing to wait while I figured it out. Rafe pulled him closer. That's love, he said quietly. Real love. Not possession. Not rescue. Just witnessing someone become who they always were. Kyan smiled in the darkness. He'd rehearsed 1,000 confessions before realizing the truest ones couldn't be practiced. They had to be lived. Chosen. Earned through the messy, imperfect work of becoming. And this lying in the dark with an alpha who chose restraint over dominance, beside a dog who chose trust over fear, in a space built on respect instead of control. This was what healing looked like. Not triumph. Not dramatic victory. Just quiet nights. Honest conversations. The gradual certainty that safety didn't require surveillance. That strength didn't require proving. That love could exist without conditions. The gym lights went dark below them. The city settled into its late-night rhythm. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new choices, new opportunities to practice living instead of performing. But tonight, Kyan was exactly where he chose to be. And that was enough. Sometimes healing isn't loud. Sometimes it's just learning to exist without apologizing. We've got more stories about finding yourself when everyone else tried to define you. Subscribe, turn on those notifications, and share this if it meant something to you. Your comment might be the permission someone else needs to start their own journey. Drop your thoughts below. We see you, we hear you, and your story matters.